companies, and we have a couple big events coming up that I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to tell you guys about today. So we've had them actually come to see us today before. So we have two events coming up. One, April 10th. That is going to be exactly 2 weeks from today. And I don't know if any of you guys were here for the last time he came, but he basically showed us how to exploit a really expensive router and how it's like how they don't do very good input sanitization. He's going to be covering RE/VR automation and kind of some of the tools that they use to do that. So that's really exciting. That's in 2 weeks. Definitely advise you guys all to come because he's a very informational speaker. He goes over every single detail, and his slides are very, very in depth. Like he's awesome, and he loves what he's talking about. He's very interesting, very easy to pay attention to. And then even bigger news, 2 weeks, basically 2 weeks from that, Saturday, April 20th, if anyone is interested, we have been invited by Aaron McCanty to come to Battelle in Columbus, Ohio. Now, this is a full-day event. It's basically going to be learning from the fire hose kind of a thing, but they're drinking from the fire hose, and we're going to be basically here. He actually gave me a little blurb of an explanation that he's given to schools in the past, so I'm going to read that to you guys, and this is kind of explaining what's going on. Have you ever wondered what an MMORPG crossed with the CTF is like? Wonder no more. Join Battelle as we throw some fireballs, loot some loot, and capture some flags in what is sure to be an epic adventure. You read that right. We will be playing a fully fleshed out MMORPG with bosses, quests, and PvP. But there's a catch. To defeat the bosses, you'll need to cheat. We'll be inviting a group of y'all onto Battelle's campus from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. for a day of questing and hacking. We will break participants up into groups, pair you up with some of our professional hackers, and see which team can come with the sickest hack. Invincibility, unlimited money, and even flying are all just a library injection or TCP proxy away. Also, don't worry if you've never done this stuff before because they are going to kind of go over the basics. Like, I've never done any of this, but I cannot wait. It sounds like an awesome opportunity. The only catch is if you want to come, you got to commit a full Saturday. We will figure out housing, or where we're going to spend the night. If you guys want to spend the night in Columbus, if you want to just drive back because you need to be somewhere, that's fine too. That all can be coordinated. But if you're interested, we're going to put up a Google forum, sign up on there, and then, really exciting stuff. So that's April 20th. We need to know all of the people that are coming by the 10th because we're going to give them a fully fledged out list because their security team is going to need that in order to let us in. So we'll have a Google form that you guys will fill out, and that'll be good enough. But that's the deadline. We got to have it to them by the 10th. So if you want to come, make up your mind by then. Yeah.
You want to talk about any other little things that are on the horizon?
So I actually spoke with, I guess this is stuff long term. This is aside from Battelle. I spoke with the senior director of data protection with GE Aviation the other day and told him about Cyberwar UC. I sent him this really explanatory email about what we do and what we look for in our outreach events. And basically, we're going to try and set up something soon where we could visit their SOC or have someone come in to be another guest speaker or something like that. And then, we'll see how that goes. But that's in the works right now. I mean, he focuses on data protection, used to be threat analysis, but knows everybody in all the departments. So I am waiting to hear back from him once he actually gets all the people that need to know on a need-to-know basis, basically, so then they know what's going on and we can figure that out. And then I'm also in the process of working with, I forgot to mention this at the exec meeting, Kroger's ISOC is another company. I'm trying to work with them about visiting their security center. So a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff for outreach coming up. So if you guys want to be involved and learn about whatever we're going to learn about there,
network with these companies.
Oh yeah, that's what I've been using it a lot as, is starting it out. Basically, most of these connections, I literally just went to the career fair and said, hey, I'm with Cyberwar UC, and I'd love to set up an outreach event. And that's basically how all of these connections have been starting. So if you guys are interested in potentially working for these companies, like GE Aviation Security Team or Battelle's nonprofit security research group, these are the kind of events to go to, because you're going to be with the professionals, with the managers, and literally see what they do, and they'll be able to see what you can do too. So stuff to keep in mind. Like I said, if you don't know a lot of the stuff, that's fine. You can figure it out, like how I am probably going to be for a lot of that stuff, like with the video game stuff and everything. AJ, I don't know your password. Accidentally bumped it. I bumped the HDMI. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming up. So keep in touch, and we'll put up a Google form before the end of the meeting if you guys are interested in the whole Battelle stuff. So cool. Keep that in the forefront. Really exciting stuff.
Well, I'm up here now, so I guess I'm going to choose you guys next. Weekly news. Chris, you got this.
The HDMI is really finicky. Very restricted.
Oh, Chris. Chris, you suck. This is the worst news.
Okay.
Try and plug it just completely.
Have you tried turning off the HDMI cord?
I'm gonna turn it over because I know it goes both ways.
AJ, what's your major? IT. Oof.
There we go.
Okay, so last week Asus announced that it had a backdoor in one of its update servers. The server had been compromised, and basically when people went to automatically update their Asus utilities on their default laptops, a lot of people don't install that. It would push a piece of malware down. It would index all the MAC addresses and a couple other pieces of information of all the computers that had been infected, and then the whatever targeting system was running behind this malware was searching for individual MAC addresses very specifically, and then controlling those computers. I'm not really sure what it's used for yet. This was out for about 5 months, being pushed from the servers. So the estimates are between, I think it's about 50,000 on the low end, which is really the detection rate between all the antivirus companies, and about 1 million devices, which is, I don't really know where that number comes from. But
so,
yeah.
Another supply chain compromise.
This is
you see a shit ton of those.
Software-only supply chain compromise, which is insane. And Asus has actually repaired this. They basically torched their whole server infrastructure and rebuilt it with end-to-end encryption on a whole lot of it. And then are we going to cyberware? So RSA Conference, the Venati Corporation performed a survey with all the industry professionals who were there, and 87% believe that the world is in a cyber war, which is interesting, and 72% believe that nation states should hack back. Hack back is the concept that if someone cyber attacks you, that basically you should be able to counter offense against them. And 58 believe private organizations should hack back, and it's kind of a troubling number. Yeah, so there was the U.S. Senate, the House, saw a bill last year, and we talked about it, about possibly enabling hackback for private corporations in the U.S. So,
the whole discussion there is around attribution, really.
Yeah.
When you get hit with a cyber attack, a good cyber attack, I mean, they could leave attribution to make you think it was a competitive company or a different state. So it's such a gray area, these kind of things. So it's kind of, what do you guys think about hackback, and what do you take away from it? But it's definitely something to ponder and think about, because I think in the future this is going to be something that's only going to be more and more of a talking point.
Yeah. I believe there's more bills in the works right now for the U.S. to enable hackback for private organizations, but I don't really know if it's ever going to turn into anything. I doubt it. It'd be kind of crazy. All right, now we're in Openstack. This is not my slide. This is AJ again.
Whoa. Did you put this on there? Okay. All right. I mean, I'll talk about this. I was going to talk about getting you connected to the lab today. But this is a surprise, so we're going to do this.
Yeah. So before we start, I'm just going to give you the courtesy to learn about what Openstack is. So OpenStack is generally just a collection of services that are packaged into these components. So like you have a component for like computing VMs and stuff. That's what Nova is. You got authentication, and you have like several other components that do other things. And yeah, this is the general architecture. This is what this just shows the relationship between all these services. And you may notice that there are multiple services in one of these components. So we'll move on.
This is kind of go back to that real quick. This is kind of a very, very overwhelming diagram of kind of what myself and Evan and some others, of Brian and whatnot, have been working on for like the past year almost, setting up, or at least since we got the lab equipment. So this is something just to get your mind thinking. You don't have to understand this, all of it, but if you want to learn more about it, that's something in the lab committee that we could get you all involved in. So,
Ryan, can you explain like just the top level what OpenStack is and what translates into it?
You gotta speak up.
Can you just explain what OpenStack is real quick? Just like just.
Yeah, it's a collection of services. It's packed up in the components. And what you can do with these components, you can it's all modular, so you can pick and choose which components you want.
So did you use OpenStack to create this diagram?
No, it's on the website.
I still don't understand what it is.
it's a private cloud
Well,
platform.
you know what a program is?
Program?
Yeah, you know what a program is? You can just imagine that all these little boxes are their own programs. They're sending messages and receiving messages and acting upon those messages. So it's asynchronous design, so I don't want to get into that kind of stuff right now, but
So OpenStack's just like a platform for all of them to communicate for us.
No, OpenStack is a technology comprised of multiple projects, multiple open source projects, mushed together to give you, once it's all set up properly, your own like Amazon Web Services, your own private cloud where you can spin up VMs with specific operating systems, configurations, down to the network level, or even what's on the OS. So it's just a flexible platform for deploying and managing applications in a private cloud. If that's succinct.
That was very succinct.
yeah,
It doesn't matter.
well, just imagine individual services like I don't know, like VirtualBox. It's not very good for like cloud computing because you can only run on a single machine. It doesn't really communicate. So like once it runs out of resources, it just runs out, and it's hard to communicate that with other machines. That is with OpenStack. Here's like some of the design patterns. It's modular, so like and loosely coupled, and it uses a producer and consumer design pattern. So with producer and consumer, this is like really good. So I'll go back to here. So with producer and consumer design models, you can actually run up multiple services. Say if you want more redundancy in your system, so it's more fault tolerant, you can do that. Say if you want more storage volume, so you can spin up more Cinder volumes.
What would be an application for
What's
this? I mean, what would you use this for? Like being very specific. If you were to
Very
build
specific.
something with this, what would you build?
You can build simulated environments. You can test deployments of web applications or whatever you want to do. The possibilities are endless. You can just spin up as many systems as you want with this. So it's very flexible in what you can do. And what we do here is do cybersecurity projects. So like create malware, test them on the systems here, create like a simulated environment, and then do projects that defend against it. And if you really want to, you can use it for school for like, I don't know, web applications or whatever you wish.
Anything that you could put on a computer and host, you can do. This is just another platform for running stuff in operating systems, containers, whatnot. It just runs. So you want to talk about connection or something?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so this is a diagram that I put together to kind of bring some organization to what we just saw out of that the giant diagram of all those OpenStack services. That giant diagram of all those OpenStack services is right here on our RackB servers. So if you wanted to like visualize, holy shit, there's all that stuff. Where is it? That's here. So you don't need to necessarily worry about all that. When that's done, you know, unless you're in the lab community working on it, you'll be able to reap the benefits, and we'll be able to give you guys BMs and stuff you can spin up on, and you know, we could have our own malware range for a meeting or something. Just spin up. Anyway, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to get all of you connected to our lab so that you can begin to maybe see how, you know, understanding our network, and if you were thinking of contributing or just wanting to understand more about what we have going on, at least we can get you to the point where you can connect to our lab, right? So remote connection. And we're going to be doing this with a very simple piece of software called ZeroTier. It's not the most simple, but it's like Hamachi. If you guys have used Hamachi, for like, no? Okay. I use that for running Minecraft servers because it would do port forwarding for you, NAT punching. We'll get there. So anyway, when we connect to our lab, there's one server that is like more important than almost any other server in our lab, and that is our MOS controller. That is a server sitting in a rack, and this is physically where the servers and stuff are sitting in a rack. We have our MOS controller. This is Metal as a Service, right? Metal as a Service. So what does that really mean? All that means is that for all of our Metal, all of our servers, that we can control them through a service. So we can deploy operating systems, we can configure networking, like we see in this diagram here, and much, much more through MOS. But MOS, I could spend a whole another meeting on. We're going to get you guys connected to the lab today. So basically, that's all I want to go into for this. I don't want to go too deep. So let's go on to the next slide here. All right, so we're going to talk about ZeroTier. It's a virtual switch for connecting devices, as they say it themselves on their site. Moving the camera. Basically, this is what is going to allow us to remotely access our lab until we get a publicly facing IP from the University of Cincinnati, which we've only been waiting on for, I don't know, 7-8 months now. So, but you know, this will work. It's open source, it's free, it's really, really great. You can look it up on GitHub if you wanted. You guys can Google ZeroTier. I would go ahead and Google ZeroTier. All of the traffic that goes across ZeroTier is end-to-end encrypted, which is very nice. It doesn't have forward secrecy, perfect secrecy, but you could solve that through like SSH tunnel and stuff. So anyway, the basics of ZeroTier, you really need to care about two main things, okay? You're going to have a 10-digit client address that's going to be given to you by the ZeroTier client that you're going to be installing onto your computer. And then what we're going to have and what we're going to be able to give you, and this is not our 16-digit network ID, but we will be giving you a network ID that looks just like this guy up here, and that's going to specify what network that you need to connect to. So if you guys want to go ahead and download the ZeroTier client, we're going to go ahead and hop to this slide and do our configuration and downloads. So go to zerotier.com/download.shtml. And if you want to learn more about ZeroTier as we're working through this, you can go to zerotier.com/manual.shtml. So let's go ahead and get that downloaded for each of your respective operating systems. And if you need help, myself and Evan, we've set this up. We're happy to come around, help you guys get it up and running. And yeah, so we'll have some install and configuration time.
Okay, so this is a VPN. This is on the other end too.
Just
And
VPN
this.
that
Yes, you know how like just like you have your OpenVPN client to connect their OpenVPN server to your house. Well, we have a ZeroTier server.
Oh,
with
they
a
connect to this is what we need.
Yeah, and one of the clients have ZeroTier.
I think so.
Try it for free, or go to the download page. If you haven't gone yet, go to the download page right here. Good. 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 You guys good? Get it download. Network. Do you have ZeroTier access?
I have the network ID.
Well, yeah.
My address.
Yeah. You use ZeroTier address? Okay. And you have our network ID? So you have ZeroTier.
Because you work out your shoulders every day, man.
Oh, yeah. So
I've never
great.
and
You get your ZeroTier address. You always save it to special. Yeah, so once you get it downloaded, you're going to have to find your ZeroTier address. This is going to be different if you do command line or GUI installs.
Mine's easy.
Oh. You want
Because the first thing that came to my mind, now it actually makes sense. This is where yeah, it wasn't great. No, use that.
It's gonna ask you to create an account. Go ahead and create your account. Just use any email that you like or whatnot. And ZeroTier does not have to be used for just this purpose here. What we're going to show you today, you can pretty much reuse at your home or work, if work lets you, or anywhere you want to remote connection.
So, AJ, in order to use is ZeroTier only applicable if they have a ZeroTier server running?
We have a ZeroTier server.
So you can use it in other places, but it wouldn't.
You can set one up for free online.
So if you were, what would be the purpose of like outside of the lab of using ZeroTier setting up a server? Like,
say you set up a ZeroTier server on your website, and you set up a ZeroTier client on one of your machines that you have, like a desktop on your house, and you set a ZeroTier client on your laptop, and you're in Zimbabwe, thanks to the internet, and you want to connect to home, but you don't want to worry about sending the VPN.
so it's like SSH.
You can launch it. We'll put you on the same virtual network. Basically assigns your server and your desktop an IP, someone else an IP, and the server watches both of these IPs.
When one pings the other,
They can go between, they can talk between each other across this virtual network.
Believe it or not.
Alright, so
I really like the DIR. It's so much better.
we need to know you're
Harder than most of my other Actually, now they're
when you get address, how do you use my address?
Really?
Oh, hey, what's up? Who's that?
Oh,
Yeah.
I see how visible she is to you.
I like that. It's hard, okay? It's hard being me.
There won't be like a
Hard to see people.
over here. So did you run it?
It's almost been years since I've seen her.
Or might just be.
Because I haven't installed it. I've done it literally in Visual Studio a lot. I just cannot remember.
I got like enough. I'm trying to get warm. He wasn't convinced.
I just can't remember what it is.
Here, I'll do this real quick because I gotta get higher.
Subject.
Hey, I'm here to propagandize you. Whoa. Shit. Did you ever heard of DN42? DN42? Yes. What is it? So it's a virtual, basically a virtual internet. Like get an AS number, GP, that's where things are going to allocate IP space within this private network. It's very overlines. I should have say AS on it. I'm going to do it with a bunch of private because we don't have the bandwidth, like in our homelands, right? This is Cyber right there. So you can do bandwidth and same thing. Gives you great application. Because it does the BS.
No, LS. We should make this alias to TIR, but he shows up to the meeting. This direct.
I told Chris, Brian knows how to do this. Brian didn't know.
If you look
Hey, I'm here to propagandize. I'm here to propagandize. That's really cool. This is that's my favorite one. The original design of this was for force devices. So they would set up a node. So the hacker space would have a network they broadcast certain IP space. So it's more service administration nodes. Security. So it's kind of but it's more. Yes, I mean absolutely seriously. Yes, that's what. I want my evidence. Virtual.
When it grows, it gets bigger and bigger. The address spaces that people are actually going to be allocated are going to be way less smaller.
I should download kind of cool.
It's like, they have some weird rules, but seriously talking to us about it. So I think Chris said, like, I'll have his contact.
Yeah.
Sure, for you. You can see what
Nothing.
Like, I'll send you something. Because it's revolution for people to peer with. There were, I mean, obviously, put it in right now. So I'm going to have to, like, reach out to people, I'm going to VP.
That's the closest you can do. Dude, that's the closest you can do. Oh, you can take your alias to L and then it'll
Text me, Joe.
Yeah.
No, not on.
All right. Do we all have our? 1 second. Do we all have our client 10-digit address? Have we been able to obtain our client address? Yes.
Where do you get it if you're doing the GUI?
What?
Where do you find the address if you use the GUI out of command line?
Evan, you have Windows, right? Do you know where to find the client ID if you've?
Should just be.
Alright.
I just created the account.
That's you. That's your ID. That's your network ID. Okay. So I'm gonna assume that we all have our network IDs. Do we have our network IDs? Evan's got you. So you're good, Shane?
Yeah.
Nick, cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
What is the key?
You have your node ID, right? Your address, your client address.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You got it. That's just make sure you have it.
Yeah.
All right. We all have it. All right. So, if you have the ZeroTier installed, you should have the ZeroTier command line interface, I believe. Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, though. I don't know. Haven't done this on Windows. Do you still have the command line interface on Windows? You're on Windows, right? Yeah. You want to check?
I don't believe I do.
So these are some nice little commands that you can look at. They'll show you how to actually utilize ZeroTier, how to connect to networks and leave networks and whatnot. So try running a ZeroTier-cli info and tell me if you actually get anything, or if you don't get anything, raise your hand if it's not there.
Did you get 200 info and the 10-digit number, then the version, and then the word online?
Beautiful. Means it worked. You good, Noah? Were you able to run it? Or like you got your node ID, right?
Yeah. PowerShell.
Yeah, probably would just pass in your service.
Evan, would you just do like join a network down here on Windows and then just type in the 16 or whatever? Okay.
Missing your authentication token. Oh, yeah. So, you probably want to do escape colon dash. Just do colon. W.
See if it works. Alright, no worries. You have to do it through the GUI.
All right.
On Windows, you need to use an administrator mode command prompt.
Oh, so you might need to do admin and run as admin command prompt. Then you get that.
I think you can do it too here. If you have it in the taskbar, you can like join network. I think if I just put in the 16 or whatever,
Okay.
enter it.
Perfect. So GUI will work. You want to show Noah?
I think it will work.
All right, Evan. So at this point, we all know our 10-digit client ID, and we all see the join network, right? Yes? The join network option. Let's go ahead and hit join network. And Evan, do you mind
Like that 16.
like messaging the key to the lab channel?
What's the 16? Your guys' server mode?
The server ID is going to be posted in the lab channel. So Slack lab channel. Yeah. I would show it up here, but I don't want it. I don't want to show it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right.
If you don't have access to the lab channel,
You don't have access to the lab channel? It's public. So you should just be able to go to like channels, tap on channels, and then just go to the channel called lab.
I got you.
Doing all right?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on that lab channel. So you want to go ahead and join that network. So I had to redact some things off the slide for YouTube purposes. We'll give you the IP also in the lab channel.
Should does it matter if your device is discoverable on the network? Yes or no?
I would say.
I had figured no, but I didn't know if it would not allow me to.
Yeah.
I have access denied.
Did you just ask to join it?
Yeah, well, I did join this okay, and then I was and it said access denied, like status.
Is that the network ID of it? Oh, we might have to add. Make it public for a second. Make the server public. Huh? It let you join?
I'm in too.
You're in too?
Whoa. Do a list networks and see if it says like access.
What, Evan? What should come up after you like
List network?
Yeah, it's just ZeroTier dash
I'll show you.
Cyber
Bear with us, guys.
UC-lab.
This guy. Does it say you're joined?
Oh, okay.
It says cyber at UC-lab.
Yeah, I've got. Oh, cyber. Where is it? Lab channel.
It says okay, public. Do you see everybody connected to us? What was yours?
I'm E9FC.
See if you can man in.
Yeah, we see you in here.
Oh.
E9FC 334580.
Yeah.
So we see you on server side, at least. I would pull up the server side, but this is on YouTube. So
Where is this lab?
Should do that.
the lab channel, hashtag LAB. All right. So at this point, we know our client ID. We know our server ID. We have joined that network. So we all following where we're going here? All right, so now what we're gonna have to do is SSH
into one of our machines on that network, and we're going to give you the IP for that. Evan, could you post that IP in the lab chat? All right, Evan gave you the IP of that. So if you are connected, then try running this command. I don't know, if you're on Windows, you might have to do a different way. You might have to just do SSH. The username will be member, and the password, we'll put that in the lab channel for member. Evan, do you have the password for the member account? I sent it to somebody. Here, I'm gonna unplug this for a sec, so I can get the password and paste it in the lab. All right, and a lab channel. I just posted the good goods. We all got that password? Try to log in with that password. You were? You got in?
Yeah.
You got in? All right, cool. All right, so right now, let's make sure everyone can log in. But the SSH command. Yeah, the SSH command's this. This is for a SOCKS proxy, which we have some time to go over. So SSH-D, this is for port forwarding, to basically say, okay, I want to, when I use the SOCKS proxy, point all of my network traffic through this port. But if you can SSH as member at the IP that Evan gave you, you are now on a rack controller. So you are now sitting right here. That's where you're at in the member account. So with this same thing you just did today, what we can do in the future for like lab events and whatnot is spin up VMs, and until Openstack is up and running, we can all utilize ZeroTier to not only connect from here encrypted to our lab, but you can run this from your home. You can run this from Zimbabwe, and you know wherever you want to be, you can remote into this lab. This is a VPN to connect to the lab. Fairly simple. Did it work for you, Chris?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, great. This is a lot more painless of a demo than I thought this was going to be. I was expecting this to just break and then no one get it working. So, all right. So the full privileged access for the lab. Did you get it working, Mike?
It's like, just try to SSH, it's just not.
Okay, well, it's probably because you're dumb. But
Yeah.
I'm just joking, Mike. I'm joking, Mike. Yeah, so where was I? I was saying something here. Becoming Franco. Let's see. Managing all your servers and VMs, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, the bottom of the slide. So if you want to get involved with the lab committee and you want to have more privilege on these machines and contribute to what we're doing, talk to Ryan Young, myself, Evan. We can get something worked out and get you guys higher access. Because right now, the account that we're all signed in under doesn't have sudo privileges. So please don't go break anything. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to get a SOCKS proxy set up so we can now hit the web GUI of the applications that we have deployed on our lab. So this is going to be different for everybody's operating systems. We have to figure out how to put up a SOCKS proxy. So I thought Chris was going to be here to help me out with this. Who else has experience setting up SOCKS proxies? I know how to do it on a Mac really well. You know how to do it on a Windows? All right. Does anyone have experience setting up a SOCKS proxy on Linux? I've done it. I think it's easy. All right, cool. Well, we're going to make this work. So now let's get on our Googles and let's get a SOCKS proxy. So make sure that when you did your SSH command that you did your -D. You can choose a different port. I recommend that you guys just start counting down from like 9,999 or whatever you want. I mean, it could be 60,000. You just must have a port forwarded here with this -D option. Gotta have it. If you don't have it, you're not going to be able to connect to the web GUI. You're not going to be able to do cool stuff like that. So let's figure out how to get a SOCKS proxy on here. I'll show how to do it on Mac for those of you. So on Mac, you can go to your little quick find thing, and you go to your network. That app?
It was like, I kept putting in the password and it wouldn't.
Oh, that doesn't pull up settings.
I forget.
Then we'll just do settings then. Now what I do here is I go to my network. Can you guys see that at all?
Yeah.
You can? So you go to, up here, Mike, you could go to settings, just like, you could literally type in settings, or you could probably type in proxy, hit proxy, and it'll take you right here. So try to follow along if you have a Mac. What I do is I go to proxies, and then you should see on your networking menu right here, SOCKS proxy. Shit. It's really hard to see, isn't it?
I can see it.
Okay. So SOCKS proxy. I click on that, and you can see that I'm saying, all right, my SOCKS proxy is at my local host on port 9002. Right? So once you have your SSH session up with that -D option, forwarding everything over port like 9002 or whatever you want, you got to go and you got to set your computer to look for a SOCKS proxy at local host at that port, and then apply it. I'm going to try to show you what you guys should be able to do here. So this is my terminal. You can see here my SSH. It's probably going to take a minute. Well, that's just my account that we're working with here. All right. Well, I mean, it's hanging for me, but you guys are getting the idea.
I have no idea.
So, if you guys want to figure out how to get that SOCKS proxy, I don't think it's that hard on Windows. I think you have Mac, right? Or you run Windows right now?
I'm on Mac.
So were you able to get that SOCKS proxy running?
It's not throwing any errors at me.
So you were able to. So you had your SSH tunnel first, right?
Yes.
And then you went and set your proxy.
Yes.
All right. Then what you need to do is go to. Give me a sec. I'm gonna send this to you. If you have a SOCKS proxy set up, oh my gosh, my internet on my computer is just. I have so many different proxies and shit that I click through. It's like, it's a pain. All right. All right, you should see that IP and port that I sent in the chat. Go to that IP at that port with that extension, and you should be able to hit our mouse controller if you have your SOCKS proxy set up properly. Yeah. You once you SSH into the rack controller with a -D option, then you're good to go as long as you set your local SOCKS proxy to that. Look at that port.
So then if I went to
what extension? Did you set the proxy?
Yeah.
Okay, so
save
go
the
to lab.
proxies, like proxies,
Like yeah, the lab
different
channel.
ones.
Oh, okay. Agent.
Yeah. SOCKS proxy is a proxy, local proxy server that allows applications and your computer to point to say, hey, all the traffic, everything that my computer's doing, push it
through this SSH connection on this port. So then all of your traffic, the computer's going to look like it's on the internal network, not just the ZeroTier network, but is like inside our lab. That's what the SOX proxy is going to allow us to do. All right, so I mean the lab channel in Slack.
Oh, okay.
Did you raise? Oh, yeah. That's it. That's it, man. That's it.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, cool. So then now I'm just good to do whatever. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Oh, did you get a? Oh no. So you're on the controller, but maybe did you get a SOX proxy?
Yeah, I can.
Do you want to sit by Noah here? Have not?
Yeah, I can.
I'm gonna plug this back in.
Actually, let me grab this. Because I won't remember this.
You want to show off? Did you log in?
Yeah.
Can I borrow your HDMI?
Oh,
Yeah, I also have a bunch of crazy network stuff.
Okay. So now I just type. Where did you get these from? This seems like so arbitrary.
What?
That ports.
So that is a specific IP of the rack controller that you're SSH'd into.
Okay, so that's just something you knew. Like,
Yeah. I could get into all of this, but that'd be a whole nother meeting, and I will get into all of it.
And then,
But this whole point is just to get you here. Yeah.
Thanks, man. All right, so if you do it right, like Mr. Arlinghouse has done.
I clicked on something.
Clicked on.
Yeah, I was admiring the storage space.
A lot of storage. There it goes. Yeah. So if you get in there properly, you should get brought to our MOS controller GUI if you went to that IP and port that I showed you. So without that SOX proxy setting, you wouldn't be able to hit this web page. Right? If you guys are having trouble and you're not running, macro Linux, well, that's your loss.
After you connected to the SOX proxy, then what do?
There's the IP and port in the lab channel. Go to that in your web browser, and you'll be prompted with a login page, and that is for this. And I'll touch on this very briefly, and then I'll let all you go because I know you don't want to be here anymore. It's getting late. It's my birthday. I don't want to be here anymore. Yeah.
Happy birthday!
Thanks, man. Hey. So this interface, this MOS, shows us all of our machines. So we can scroll down through this list. We can see each one of these is the rack that it's in, rack B, the position in that rack, position 6, and the type of server. As we go down, rack C, and then these guys are names of applications that we have deployed in VMs. So if you ever wanted to get stuff done, work in the lab, now you know how to connect to it remotely and see the web GUI. So any other
If it says methods not allowed, I'm guessing the stock was wrong or something.
Yeah, we have to log in.
Yeah, you do have to log in.
User pass.
you might not want to say that on
I'm not gonna say that one live.
What was that, AJ?
Devin Byers was gonna
AJ, the address you posted in Slack needs the number sign.
No, it does not need that. If you could just go to just that.
No,
Yeah.
we got the same error that you did.
The heck? Then just do a / after the MOS. Because you typed in what I sent in, and it redirected you, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What browser are you using?
I'm using Firefox.
Yeah, I'm just using
Right.
Chrome.
So,
Just do the
Different
/
OSs.
machines. Like after that.
Found the problem yet?
Take out that.
And you just go to that IP and take out the MAS, take out MAS. Just go to that IP, import, and you're on it. Heck yeah. Are you guys doing all right? You're on. Are you on it?
I can't do that.
But you have the do we?
Check this out. One second. You can check that.
Cool.
Thanks.
By the way, when you're done with this, we're going to need to uncheck the software.
Oh, I thought there was some random shit. This is it? Yeah.
What do you mean? That's what's posted in Slack.
Oh, wait. It's the. Okay, I'll show you right here. Exactly. Interesting. Can you just SSH this to? Oh. This is it. Oh, I can't. I was looking at the ZeroTier.
So I was able to ping it?
Yeah, you are not able to ping it. All right. So, just to wrap things up from my part before I turn it back over to Cliff. This I showed you guys today. It's just a really nice, efficient method of remotely connecting to a place. You could do this anywhere. Like I said, you'd have to learn how to set up the server side of it, but for the most part, it's fairly painless to allow other people to connect it to a network remotely. So with that, that's all I got. And Cliff, so you. Thanks, dude. Please don't screw up our environment, guys.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, please don't mess with prod. It really sucks to have to clean up after stuff like that. Anyway, that's about it for the lab and MOS stuff. Please show up to CTF team if you're interested in it. Also, if you like puzzles at all, CTF is definitely something you should look into. It's fun. It's like puzzles. And I think that about covers it. Sunday is the executive meeting. Everyone's welcome to come, and I encourage everyone to come.
Come to the executive meeting. Say it again.
We'll post details on Slack in general on Sunday.
Cool.
All right. And that about covers it. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks, Flip.